The truth is, around 90% of us veterans are lowballed by the VA for our back pain. This could be the reason that you see some veterans, maybe who don't even seem as severe with their back-related injuries, getting paid thousands of extra dollars every single month. We're talking a house payment and maybe plus a car payment on top. With the knowledge in this video today, I'm going to show you how to unlock the gold mine that you're sitting on if you have back pain that was a result of your military service for you and your loved ones so that you can have a life-changing result. This video is going to be packed with actionable, practical information so that you can unlock the gold mine that you've been sitting on if you have back pain as a result of your military service. To be clear, that includes even if you have never gone to the doctor during your military service, if you've been denied for your back pain 100 times, or if you simply went through the process already and simply got a low 10%, 20% rating for your back. Many people and clients who I've helped with this information were able to put their grandkids through college just using this simple strategy. So I really hope that you're able to absorb this value that I'm going to give to you today. I'm Jordan Anderson with VA Claims Academy. Let's get into it. We're going to get into this in 5 different sections. I will go ahead and chapter these so that in the video you can watch this full video and then go back and sort of use it as a resource with the timestamps that I'll include for you. Very first thing we're going to tackle the big problem, why we are so underrated, why we keep getting denied for our back pain. That will go ahead and unlock us so that we can solve it. But first, realizing why back pain in particular really is the golden ticket of VA claims. You're going to see why, not just because back pain itself is what we consider in the industry a high value claim, but also what it can unlock in terms of secondary conditions. We'll get more on that. Third, how to essentially force the VA to admit that your back pain is related to your service. So force the VA to service connect us. That's obviously a key piece there. Fourth, how to nail the C&P exam like a professional. Okay, this is the big exam on the final day of your claim. This is going to be key to making sure you get the rating that you deserve. And finally, secondary multipliers. This is what I was referring to when I talked about secondary claims. It turns out your back is connected to every single part of your body in some way, and that could result in skyrocketing your VA rating through secondary claim strategies. If this sounds fair enough, lock in with me. It's going to be an eye-opening video, so definitely share with someone who needs it. Now, before we talk next about how if you're sitting on back pain caused by your service, you're sitting on an absolute gold mine, first we need to address the big problem. That's what is keeping so many of us vets benefits you and your loved ones are entitled to. This picture depicts it perfectly, which is 90 to 80% of the time, 80, 90%, there is only one missing piece between you and your next approved claim. So this could mean many different things. If you're service connected and you don't have your increase that you're going after, typically you're only one missing piece away. If you are looking to get rated, meaning the VA doesn't acknowledge that you're service connected yet, typically still, you're only one missing piece away. Yes, even if you were previously denied. Now, I do want to just briefly mention someone who helped fill in those missing pieces for me when I was researching vigorously through the VA claims process was Combat Craig. Many of you may have heard of him. He recently passed away, so I did want to salute to Combat Craig, of course, and his family. The positive impact he's had for veterans continues on, and that's an amazing legacy. Now, for people new to VA claims, hardcore education, I guess you could call it, it kind of shocks individuals to learn just how valuable a properly executed back pain claim can be. I've had clients who have retired in other countries just because they've maximized their back pain claim. And this is, again, not something that's for these advanced, crazy Lieutenant Dan levels of injuries where it's just excruciating constant pain. But I'm talking about someone where you have back pain, it impacts you probably on a daily basis, maybe you have flare-ups once, or twice a week. That type of back pain, typically, if it's properly maximized, could result you just in a price range around $2,300 every single month, tax-free. And I know that might be shocking to some of you. You might think I'm exaggerating or stretching. I'm going to show you how we get to this number and just how attainable it actually is. Again, for someone with pretty common levels of back pain. So hang tight for that. By the way, if you're getting value from this video so far, do me a huge favor and hit that thumbs up button for me. This is a key part of the video. Getting the VA to actually acknowledge that, yeah, you have back pain, and it's not just due to your advanced age, let's say, right? It's not just due to old age. We believe that this was caused by your military service. Because let's be honest, most of us veterans, you didn't go through the military doctor while you were in service. You were busy serving, right? So now that can kind of put you in a bind because the VA can act like, well, sorry, we don't see any records from service. Getting the VA to essentially be forced to grant you service connection is a key part of the strategy. There's a couple of things that we would need for this to happen. Sometimes you're in a battle and you just realize that, hey, you know what? I need more firepower. What is the ultimate thing that you call in order to force the VA? And I say force, right? You can't force them to do anything, but essentially make it to where there's pretty much an undeniable claim for you to give you service connection. The number one most potent tool, I'll say it right now, is going to be a nexus letter. Now, some people make a nexus letter seem way more complicated than it is. You can explain it in 10 seconds. It's a letter from a doctor that affirms that your condition was, at least as likely as not, caused by your military service. Now, when you're talking about someone who didn't go to the doctor during military service, maybe it's been decades since you left the service, the only way to try to reach back in time and fix that sort of issue of not having military medical records is through getting a nexus letter, having a doctor now go back and make an opinion that says, yeah, you know what? It makes total sense that this 11 Bravo veteran, the back pain was caused by the ruck marches, caused by the heavy helmet with the optic gear, caused by being air assault where you're rappelling from helicopters, okay? A nexus letter connects your condition to your military service. Now, there are ways to supercharge your nexus letter to where your whole picture, meaning your whole story to the VA, is even more compelling than just a nexus letter alone. You can do that by adding your 2 cents into the matter as a lay person through what's called lay evidence. So you don't have to pretend to be a doctor if you're not a doctor, but as a lay person, you could give your side of the story in a form of a statement that actually gets entered into your file as evidence. Now, I always tell clients this, I always tell y'all this as well, so that you can use it if you're doing your own claim, that you have a high, at least, a top 1% claim, I call it, right? A personal statement is not optional. I don't look at it as optional at all. I would submit a personal statement personally with every single condition. And a personal statement is exactly what this piece of evidence is called. And by the way, I'm not referring to, some people call it a buddy letter. That can be used in certain cases. I find it personally that it's kind of redundant, right? If you have a sweet nexus letter from a doctor who specializes in the back, and you also have a personal statement which tells your side of the story in the VA's language, at that point, the buddy letter is icing on the cake, even if that, right? So it's really important, if you are not service connected by the VA for your back, meaning that you don't have a back rating of 0% or higher right now, if you have a back rating of 0%, ignore this. You're already service connected. You just need an increase. Okay, we'll get to that in a second. But if you're not rated at 0% or higher for something involving the back, lumbosacral strain, bulging disc, slip disc, whatever it is, then this on the board right now is probably your one missing piece keeping you, again, away from reaching the end goal once and for all, okay? So I can't stress that enough. Please watch this segment over it again if this is still confusing to you. But the summary, if you're not service connected for back right now, you need to go ahead and look into getting a Nexus letter, and of course, write a personal statement along with your claim explaining how your service is what caused your back injury. Now, this is a powerful combination, and a few months ago, I had a client that after 32 years, being out of the service for 32 years, we finally won his VA disability claim for back because we went ahead and had a personal statement drafted, and as well as we got a Nexus letter, okay, from vadisabilitydoctors.com. Combine those two, send it in, and after 32 years, boom, again, the one missing piece. So I think we get that there. I drove that home nicely. Now you need to know about the C&P exam, because it would be a shame if you did everything right to this point, you finally get into the day of your exam, you've got tremendous momentum, and you throw away the last 6 months or however long you've been waiting for your exam because you didn't know what to expect. Or more likely, what I see is veterans, you kind of try to be a hero on the day of your C&P exams and act like a tough guy or a tough gal, and that obviously works against you, okay? So let me show you the tool that they're going to be using on you during the day of your C&P exam so you know exactly what to expect. Now, this is exactly what you're going to see when you do your back pain claim. You may have already seen this tool if you've done your claim before and you've had your compensation and pension exam, okay? Just to be clear, your VA rater, the person rating your VA claim, is getting the report, the DBQ, Disability Benefits Questionnaire, that your C&P examiner fills out. So your C&P examiner is basically almost a stand-in for your VA rater because you're speaking through them to the rater, okay? Now your personal statement gets read directly by the VA rater. That's why it's such a huge portion of this claim, because you actually get to tell your side of the story to the person making a decision on your claim. But the C&P examiner is the person who's the second most important in this process. Now this tool is called a goniometer, all right? Now you can remember that because what it does is it's going to measure your back, okay? So it's a goniometer. By the way, if you'd like to schedule a call with someone on my team about how we can help you get the VA rating that you deserve, click the first link in the description to book your free consultation. So you want to be sure that your examiner is utilizing this tool, number one. And number two, you will need to know what they're going to have you do, okay? Now, a back rating according to 38 CFR has a few different criteria. Most of them could be ignored, all right? So there's some that measure your rotational sort of range of motion, maybe your transversal sort of bending. 99% of the time, those measurements get thrown out, and the only thing that matters for your back pain, fellow vets, listen to me, the only thing that matters for your back rating is going to be what they call thoracocolumbar flexion, okay? So that means you're going to be bending and reaching toward your toes, all right? That is the exercise that they're going to have you do on your C&P exam day, and they're going to use this tool, the goniometer, to measure. This bottom part is going to be sort of at your leg, right, at your thigh, and when you bend forward, they're going to measure with this top part the amount of degrees that you can bend forward, right? For a 40% disability rating for your back, 30 degrees or less is the magic number, okay? Now, the key thing here is that you do not want to push past the point of pain under any circumstances, okay? I say this all the time. This is not an NFL combine. This isn't tryouts for some leaderboard. You are not there to flare yourself up and then have to take another week off of work because you hurt yourself, all right? You're no longer in the service. This is to get an accurate view of, let's say on a daily basis, where is your point of pain when you're bending forward. So as soon as you feel pain, realize you're not in the military service. Stop at the point of pain, okay? Do not be a hero in this process. It's bad for everyone involved. Now, you might be thinking to me, Jordan, I'm in pain even if I don't move forward. Well, there you go, right? So you may have, they might prompt you, okay, hey, John, right? John, go ahead and do the forward bend for me, reach towards your toes. At that point, I would ask the examiner, this may not be very far. Do you want me to stop once I feel sharp pain? Typically, 9 times out of 10, a good examiner is going to say yes, stop at sharp pain. Again, this is not a scenario where they're trying to put you through some grueling gauntlet that's just going to render you immobile for the rest of the day. With that permission to stop at pain, most veterans now feel better about actually stopping early, or what may seem to be early. It's just the case. You have back pain, it's already hurting. Oftentimes your fingertips will not go even toward your kneecaps, okay? With someone with pretty moderate back pain, you'll already start to feel it. Now, for those folks who are listening to me now, who are rated at 10%, who are rated at 20% for your back, that just had a light bulb moment ring off in your head. You're saying, dang, I was being a hero at my C&P exam, and that costed me. Because again, let's be honest, your back is actually impacting you much more than what the VA knows, because on the day of your exam, you bend down too far, okay? So at that point, you may want to go ahead and file a supplemental claim, okay? A supplemental claim. Supplements make you stronger, okay? A supplemental claim makes your claim stronger. And in a supplemental claim, the VA is going to ask for a couple of things. They're going to say, in order to do a supplemental claim, which is a form of sort of appeal, but without going through the 3 to 5 year process of taking it to Washington and the court system, right? So a supplemental claim, they're going to ask for what's called new and relevant evidence. So if you're sitting there and you need an increase, you can't submit a nexus letter because you're already service connected, right? So that's not new or relevant. We already realize, we already acknowledge that you're service connected. Maybe you already submitted a personal statement the first go around, so you can't really do another personal statement saying the same thing. That's not new and relevant, right? So how do I do a supplemental claim? Supplements make you stronger. How do I strengthen my claim, but also satisfy the requirement of new and relevant evidence? You may want to purchase what's called a DBQ. That may seem familiar because I was just talking about how the C&P examiner is filling out a DBQ, a disability benefits questionnaire on your behalf while you're at the C&P exam. You could also get a private DBQ, they're called, so from a private doctor. And most of the time, the VA kind of throws this in the trash by the time they're halfway through your actual claim. But oftentimes it can satisfy, again, the point isn't so the VA rater just agrees blindly with your private DBQ. It's actually kind of used to just satisfy the requirement of being new and relevant evidence so that you can move forward with your supplemental claim. I hope that makes sense. Just very quickly, I know we're getting a little technical here, but the value in a supplemental claim could be that if you were denied within the past 12 months, so within the past year, utilizing a supplemental claim could preserve your effective date. So if you were denied January 1st of 2025 and you did a supplemental claim December 31st, right? You submitted it of 2025. The fact that you completed a supplemental claim within that 1 year window, and then you win now because you know not to be a hero during that forward bend, you would have an entire year of backdated pay. All right, no pun intended, right? But if you're talking about, again, these numbers that we're talking about, you can see how that could be a big tax-free check. So don't sleep on the supplemental claim strategy. Now, the final piece of advice that I'll give you for your C&P exam. After your forward bend, this is so often overlooked. We talked about a 40% rating, right? If your fingertips basically go right to where almost your kneecaps start, right? That's about 30 degrees of flexion. After that exercise, you're going to want to volunteer the information to the examiner if you have ever had any numbness, tingling, shooting pain in one or both of your legs. Okay. This is called neuropathy. It could be called radiculopathy, or even sciatica could be the diagnosis that you have for it. But oftentimes with back pain is often accompanied with sort of nerve pain, or maybe your feet fall asleep. Perhaps it feels like lightning going down your legs. This is an add-on to the back rating that could be worth a 20% rating per leg. Okay, so something that stacks 20% for your left leg for moderate radiculopathy, plus 20% for your right leg for moderate radiculopathy, plus your 40% for your back rating. Now, you don't even technically need to be diagnosed for radiculopathy by the time that they check for radiculopathy. It's part of the actual examination for your back in and of itself. So the examiner at your C&P exam actually has the ability to check that checkbox that says, oh yes, they have also bilateral radiculopathy, because they just indicated to me after coming up from that forward bend that they have had pins and needles, shooting pain in both of the legs, okay? If that applies to you. Big thing to not overlook, and it's not really intuitive, which is why it really is something that someone has to prepare you for before the C&P exam, but now you know. Again, if this video is giving you some value so far, do me a huge favor and hit that thumbs up button for me. Okay, let's talk about secondary multipliers. This is where we already have the 40% for the back, maybe 20% per leg for bilateral radiculopathy, but this is really where your rating can skyrocket. Let me show you what I mean. Now, this only applies for veterans that are human. It might sound a little silly to say, but it's something that you have to acknowledge, because it takes a degree of losing the conditioning that was kind of pounded into you during the military service, that of which, hey, I'm a robot, I'm going to ignore sort of my needs in lieu of the needs for the squadron, the service, the man or sister in arms next to you. Now it's kind of time to look internally and see, hey, you know what? This back pain that I've been dealing with, what other effects has it had on me actually? And oftentimes, if you have back pain, again, 40%, bilateral radiculopathy, about 40%, it's really about 44%. There's something called a bilateral factor multiplier. But about 9 times out of 10, you're going to have a mental impact as a result of chronic back pain. And provided that this back pain is deemed connected to your service through the means that we have already taught you early in this video, the average mental rating as of right now is good for 70% all on its own, okay? So you go back to that $2,300 number that seemed shocking earlier, and you could see just how quickly back pain, when claimed holistically, totally, and optimally, could really be a high value claim, all right? These three conditions often manifest together, okay? Typically with back pain, you might have some pins and needles in the legs. Typically with the chronic back pain and maybe it's the sleepless nights, you can't even get comfortable, you're tossing and turning, you're going to have a degree of mental impact. It's just a matter of getting this, one, diagnosed, and two, claimed in the form of a secondary claim, all right? Now, what's the difference between a secondary claim and the supplemental claim that I talked about earlier? Remember, supplements make you stronger. Supplemental claim makes your claim stronger. A secondary claim is when you attempt to service-connect a condition as a result of one of your existing conditions that's rated at 0% or higher by the VA. So let's take mental, for example. Obviously, if you have some mental stuff going on, which don't we all, right? But you think that it could be due to your ringing in your ears. You think that it could be due to your back pain, and that's service connected, even if it's a 0% rating. You could do a secondary claim, utilize a nexus letter from a psychiatrist, preferably a board certified psychiatrist, because they specialize, pardon me, in mental conditions. And poof, you can turn a 0% rating and add a 70% monster rating on top of that. Quick word of caution, all right? Mental conditions, mental claims don't stack. If you're already rated for insomnia, you're already rated for PTSD, anxiety, depression, bipolar disorder, adjustment disorder, don't add a new mental condition, because what happens is you get one overall mental rating and that encompasses all of your mental conditions, right? So it'll just get absorbed into your existing mental rating is what I'm saying. Don't spin your wheels. If you have an existing mental rating and you feel like you're underrated for it, you're better off just applying for an increase straight away for that. And this is just one example, the mental, and this adds up to about a 90% disability rating, just this right there. But think about it. We got clients that have back pain, and down the line that's manifested in foot issues, hip issues, abnormal gait from sort of limping because of their sort of immobile spine, but also vice versa. The back can cause the back can cause headaches even, right? Back injuries, but also so many different injuries could cause back pain. So for example, if you've hurt your ankle, or if you have maybe even pes planus, the flat feet, and that has worked its way up to where your posture has been affected and now your back has developed back pain, a lot of professionals will actually go on record for you and complete a nexus letter, which again connects your condition to your military service, or in this case, connects your condition to something that's already rated by the VA at 0% or higher for a secondary claim. So you could really get creative, but primarily it really matters what your back specialist believes could have caused your back pain. So even if they believe, right, something like that seems crazy to you or me, which might be, okay, your ringing in your ears is causing back pain. Doesn't make sense to me. However, it doesn't matter because they're the expert. It's the VA's job to decide whether that's compelling or not, right? So their responsibility is to give their medical opinion and sort of utilize evidence to back that up. Like for clients, when we deliver Nexus letter drafts, it utilizes peer-reviewed research from PubMed, from NIH, to go ahead and support that opinion. So there's more compelling and less compelling secondary claims, but just know that anything can be claimed as a secondary claim to anything else. So, big picture summary. I know we went over a lot of detail. Let me show you the big picture so you can see just kind of how simple it really could be. Big problem is, guess what? You're one step away. You're one step away from an approval for golden ticket VA claim, which could be life-changing. Again, I've had clients retire in other countries just from maximizing this claim. That golden sort of one step away, if you are not rated already, is a nexus letter and personal statement. Okay, that's your target right there. If you aren't already rated for back pain, 0% or higher, all right? If you are already rated for back pain, you need a new C&P exam to get your increase, okay? Either way, you need to nail the C&P exam, whether you are rated or aren't rated at all, because that is the route to actually get rated for your back, and you need to do that by having a positive DBQ. That could be from your C&P examiner, right? By not being a hero during that forward bend. by letting them know about your pins and needles, your shooting pain in one or both legs, if that applies to you. And that is how you nail the C&P exam like a pro, okay? Now the secondary claim multipliers. Back pain and radiculopathy on a regular basis doesn't affect you mentally if you're a robot. However, if you are a human, that is going to have some mental impacts, even if it's just souring your mood mildly, okay? So I encourage you to tune in to what that's actually looked like. Kind of expand your awareness to look at, hey, am I cranky with my family? Have I gotten crankier over the years? Look into what could be happening mentally, and if your back pain could have anything to do with that, because again, that is how you really unlock these massive high value ratings. I really hope this helped you out. If you'd like to schedule a call with someone on my team about how we can help you get the VA rating that you deserve, click the first link in the description to book your free consultation. I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.